Oh yeah, oh yeah. We are back with a brand new episode of How Do We Get Here? And we have a returning friend of the show. We have David Lujan back in the house. And man, this guy, he is one of the busiest dudes in indie comics, man. When I'm watching his Instagram, and like he's got a couple different ones, man. He's always popping off, man. He's doing shows with his couple of bands. I mean, like he doesn't just have one. I mean, this guy is incredible. But what are you here to talk with us specifically today, David?
I'm here today to talk about a new comic called Big Game Saga. It's a dream project for me because it involves time travel and ninjas and sci-fi and samurai swords and all kinds of good stuff. So that's what
Yeah,
I'm here to talk about mostly. But there's other things that'll happen, I'm sure.
yeah, this is a really, really interesting book. I love the subject matter. I had a blast with the idea of like taking formidable warriors from the past and putting them in like tropical settings and then letting people hunt them. Yeah, it's a really pretty original in my opinion. I'm digging it. I can't wait to see where it goes. And you're working on this with a writer? Am I?
Yeah. So I was approached by a guy named Bill Poor. He's a screenwriter, and he had this. He was like, "Hey man, I've seen your other comics, and I just want you. I want to work with you. I want to do something. What are you into? What haven't you done?" And I said, "Man, I don't know. I like swords and sci-fi and stuff like that, and ninjas are cool." And he was like, "Dude, I have the story." Apparently, his manager shelved this story and said, "Hey, there's no way Hulu's picking this up. There's no way Netflix is interested. It's too like far-reaching and blah blah blah." And he was like, "Dang!" So he threw it on the shelf. And then when I mentioned that I wanted to draw something that had ninja swords and it also had time travel and sci-fi and guns, he was like, "Perfect. We'll put this together and then we can show it to my manager and show him how awesome it could be if you turned it into a Hulu series." So yeah, that was
Yeah,
kind of the beginning
yeah.
of it.
That's crazy because reading this, it makes me think that the guy that told him that's kind of a dildo because I mean, I could see this completely working. I mean, I loved like kind of like the hunters and kind of how pathetic they are. You know what I mean? I especially the two that we kind of follow. I think that with the Tiger King and all that stuff being so popular, I think a story like that would kind of resonate with people. And the idea of like having them go back in time and they're hunting humans, like it really kind of drives home like the disgustingness, I would say, of big game hunting, and at the same time
Yeah.
as giving a really fun story because the setup for this issue is basically it looks like they snagged the wrong guy from ancient Japan and it's about to bite him on the ass. And like, yeah, I can't wait to see where that goes, man. Damn.
Yeah, me too. So when I got the script, I was like, okay. I'm reading. I'm like, where's the ninja come in? Like, when does he start kicking people's asses? And he really, doesn't full on go like Raph on him until he kind of has to because he's
Mm.
trying to stay in hiding, and that's kind of the whole thing. So drawing it and like coming up with the vibe and stuff, I was like having all these like Kurosawa flashbacks where I was like, okay, you think about it, the best samurai flicks from the 60s, 70s, they're like real slow paced with just hints of awesome stuff that's gonna happen. And then when it does happen, when it finally pops off, man, that samurai fight or sword fight or whatever, boom, like that. And Homeboy's just like, then he's gone. So I wanted to kind of set it up like that. And, Bill is an excellent writer. So, I mean, yeah, it's good to
Get
go.
a really rad shuriken to the eyeball
Yeah.
panel in this book too. Like I love that. I didn't clip it because I don't like showing stuff at the end of the books. I want to save something, but like just letting people know that it's in there. It's
Yeah.
great, man. Like
I
it should be a T-shirt.
I actually changed that because in the script it was originally he was supposed to get one in his like gut and then one in his neck, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. But what if he gets one like directly in the eye and it doesn't kill him, but it's like nasty and his blood's just you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, and
so
I like the you go to the black and white when you go into ancient like in the past. So that's a
yeah,
nice little touch.
that was
With the year,
totally that was totally Bill's idea. He was like, hey, I got this crazy idea, but because he had seen Uriko, my other
Uriko.
comic,
Yeah.
yeah, about the vampire, and he was like, I love your black and white work. is there any way we could like incorporate that into here? I was like, I mean, we could do like a variant cover or something. Yeah, yeah. And he was like, yeah, variant covers are cool. What if we did a whole portion of the book that was black and white? Like, what if when we go back to ancient Japan, we're actually going, it goes black and white? And I was like, well, if we're gonna go full on manga, there's gonna be like, I'm gonna use zip tones and dot patterns and all of the craziness. So that's how that came into being for sure.
Nice. And yeah, I would say your black and white work in this is probably some of your tightest to date. You know what I mean? It is just gorgeous in this book.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
you didn't go as dark and moody as in Uriko. Uriko is like a much darker vibe because of the vampire overtone and the horror themes to it. And this one, you kept it a little lighter. Like, it's funny how black and white, like, people think you're limited, but man, you got so much range, right? That you can go, and you see it so much brighter and lighter at this one compared to, so just the contrast, like, they're both black and white, but they're very different in tone.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So it's nice.
I think that this with all the same with all the other comics I've worked on, especially stuff with other people. I try and come up with a way to illustrate the script that's going to be, going to work best for whatever that story is. You know what I mean? Like with Uriko, I came up with all those like thumbprints and all the weird stuff and the textures and things because I wanted it to have that kind of gritty, dark, kind of scary vampire-y feel. And then with Nerida, it's all like washes and watercolors and things like that because, I mean, she's the mermaid. So that's like a high fantasy kind of thing. And then with this one, it needed to be somewhere in between there. You know what I mean? And hopefully I did okay. But
And yeah, this is probably one of your most interesting action scenes too. The beginning with the gladiator, or the, I guess, just a Spartan or Roman soldier, like what, I'm not sure exactly what he was, but like, oh, dude,
I don't know
like,
what he is either. I don't know what he is either.
this grid breakdown is just beautiful. Yeah, I mean, like, he could be like any of the things I said right there. He could be like definitely Greco-Roman, you know what I mean? Somewhere from that time period.
Yeah. So that was a real interesting beginning to a script. I'd never gotten a script before from anyone that was written like that, where you're totally submerged in it, and it's got this whole. And I just was feeling this color palette and the whole thing, like these purples and oranges, and it's sunset, and they're on the African, Sahara and all that kind of stuff, and then boom, cut, and the lights come on, and it's just that's a promotional video to sell the rich dude on something. And you're like, oh, what? Oh, that's weird. So trying to figure out a way to illustrate that, to have it then transition into what it does transition into right afterwards was a huge challenge. But and I didn't really know what it was going to look like until I just kind of started drawing. And I was like, well, I'm just going to start placing these panels. And that page in particular had so much drawing in it. Like, all of those panels were completely, like, each one of them was a full page spread that I did. And then I just kind of shrunk them down and stuck them in the thing. So there's a lot that's covered up that's totally illustrated. It just didn't make it into the panel. So
damn, that's interesting.
It's cool because like, it kind of has a little bit of that Westworld vibe where people want to immerse themselves in this world, but it's kind of got that big, like Johnny was saying, the big game aspect to it. That's a little different, where, because Westworld, people go in knowing that it's a like fantasy world where if they kill someone, they're not actually killing someone. Well, that's the idea, right? That you don't actually murder people. But this one is cold-blooded because they're actually getting real life people. And these people want to murder these historical figures throughout time just to be able to say they like, like Genghis Khan, get me Genghis Khan. I want to fucking, or Napoleon, or let's murder Napoleon's ass, or go back and get Hitler and let's murder his ass,
and I even I asked Bill about it. I was like, so I mean, I don't know, but like a billionaire CrossFit bro versus any warrior from history that was an actual badass that's actually seen combat, the warrior from history is gonna win if it's straight up hand-to-hand combat. So like, what is it that how are they able to defeat these warriors? And he was like, well, it's rigged. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. And he said, so they'll put them out there and they'll sell you on this whole product. And that's kind of what the whole thing is with this storyline is Saga, the character from Japan. he's just a farmer. You know what I mean? Like they go back to just say, hey, we're gonna dress him up like a samurai because that's what they want. They want to fight a samurai. But we're gonna go get some podunk farmer, dress him up in some armor, put him out in the field. He's gonna get his ass handed to him. And I said, well, what if they pick like an actual warrior? And he said, well, then they've got dudes all around with tranquilizer guns, so they'll tranquilize his ass during the fight, so that the billionaire who paid to fight ends up winning no matter what. And I'm like, damn, that sucks. That's terrible. He was like, I know.
Yeah.
And what's great about this story is, like I was saying before, you could do a prequel series where they've gone back, or actually got, like, maybe in the beginning they were like, let's actually get these warrior dudes and realize that, oh shit, we made a mistake because he's fucking cleaning house, and they had to like have their snipers take out, you know, and like the mistakes going on to where they get to the point where they just grab a farmer, throw him in a samurai outfit because it's easier prey, right? Like, and there's so many, like I said, you can go back and do a Hitler one, you could go back and do like, you know, there's so many avenues you could go down with this story, which is fun.
Exactly. And you've hit on a key point, and I don't want to give anything away, but there's a scene in the book, and you saw it, I'm sure, where the main hunter guy, he's in the trophy room. You know what I'm saying? He's looking at all his glass,
the trophy cases,
trophy cases and stuff. And there's one where there's just like a braid of red hair, like a long braid of red hair that's just stuck on the wall, but there's no warrior in the case. And the other guy who's talking to him was like, "Oh yeah, the one that got away." And then they move on topics. So where did the one that got away go?
Who has red hair in the history of time?
There's all kinds of weird
Viking, like a Viking maybe. Yeah.
There's I won't
crazy Scottish, like William Wallace probably had red hair. Like
I will tell you this
Joan
much.
of Arc, she didn't. She had short hair though.
I will tell you this much. I'm known for drawing. I'm known in the indie comics community for being able to draw really hot women.
So Joan of Arc, you're right, Joe.
I'm not gonna say that, but I will tell you that I know how to draw females.
Yeah.
What else is there? Red hair. I'm thinking like Irish or Scottish, maybe from back in the day.
Oh,
some Viking or
Mary Queen of Blood. She was a redhead, right?
She sure was. I don't know if her hair was braided like that.
Yeah.
I did a lot of research to make sure that the weapon, the implement that's in the case next to the braid, fit the character from whence.
Red Sonja. She was real, right?
Oh yeah.
Red Sonja. I'm kidding.
There's definitely going to be a Red Sonja variant cover that's coming for the next issue. I can guarantee you.
Yeah.
For sure. Except it's going to be Saga, the samurai dude, dressed up as Red Sonja.
That should be interesting. Can't wait to see it.
Not only this is a Kickstarter that's running till June 7th. Johnny threw the link in the chat and also in the description. Yeah, so you can go find the link there to bring you straight to the Kickstarter page to go back that. I saw that you're fully funded at the moment.
Sure are.
Oh hell yeah!
So and this book is finished, right? So as soon as it's funded, you guys send it to the printers.
That's the plan. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. And since it funded, I designed a little like ninja poster too, a little 11x17 that I'm gonna get printed and send along with it. So if people like cool posters of ninjas on their walls, there's no reason not to back this thing.
You got about a week to get on that, right? Just about.
Yep.
Are you gonna fold it so that it makes the size of the comic like back in the day? You know how you got those folded posters in
the
your
mini comics? Yeah.
That'd
be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it the way I've done other fulfillment, where you can take like an 11x17 and you fold it over, you like roll it over your stack of comics and stuff.
So
and
it doesn't
put that,
fold it is it doesn't get
there's no creases or anything, and then you can put all your bookmarks and
but people are not getting nostalgic for all this retro shit, man. You could have folded it like and had like the 9 9-panel grid, folded marks in it, and it'd be just like back
wow.
in the 90s, you know?
Yeah, fold
Yeah.
it and throw it in the dryer for about like 10 minutes, and like so it gets like the really beat up look. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Pre-foxing on the edges, like kind of mess it up a little bit. Yeah.
That would look cool. I would love a poster that's already pre-worn.
Yeah.
Put it up on the wall. It looks like an old school, something cool.
Yeah. All right. Duly noted.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you get a poster. Very cool. You just finished Kicks, like bam. You came out like you finished Nerida issue
That's
2.
a good one.
Dude's red braid. It has to be Boudica. I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Boudica is? Oh
No.
man, she was the witch queen of the Picts, man. She hated the Romans. It was when the Roman legions were occupying England, and she was one of the key revolutionaries against them. She was crazy,
Right.
man.
You're getting warmer. Let's just put it that way. I know that much about the storyline so far. He hasn't told me everything, but he did tell me enough to where it was like, oh shit, oh yeah, that's weird, So
Hell
he's
yeah.
a history buff. Bill Poor's a history buff. He knows what's up. Yeah,
Cool.
So,
Yeah, I guess you'd have to be, right, to write this kind of story. You'd have to have pretty good knowledge of what you're
The
diving
timeline.
into. Yeah.
you got to know the timeline. Absolutely. Yeah, man. He assigned me a couple of really tough panels for this thing. Like, there's a page where the ninja is like, he's having doubts, and he's like, I want to protect my family, and I'm not that anymore, and blah blah blah. I'm just a cool dude. I don't do those things anymore. And he goes back, and we get to see his secret lair with all of his weapons of sorts. And I was like, damn, okay. I mean, if he's got a stockpile, he's gonna have a ton of weapons. How would he even display them? Is like, where would they're in a cave somewhere? So like trying to figure out how to draw these things was a real, it was a mind bender for sure. But anytime I get a chance to draw ninja weapons, I'm down. Since I was like 4, I'm like, yeah.
And you got that classic shot too. Johnny put it up before with the rake.
Oh yeah,
with the foot, and he's not looking to look away and catching it. That's like that's a classic kind of shot right there. When I saw that, I was like, right away, you're like, yeah, we know this guy's badass.
Yeah. He doesn't have to say shit. He doesn't,
No.
It's like, that dude doesn't have to look at the rake. He's gonna kill you.
You captured it perfectly on that panel. I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah,
foreshadowing for sure.
That was a great panel. Love that. So yeah, go ahead.
What it is with rakes, but like, there's all sorts of rakes in this comic. And
the tiger,
a rake. Yeah,
the tiger claw thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally just it's like a little rake for gardening. It's a gardening rake. That's all it is. I mean, that's what they used to use. They were like, this could fuck somebody up, so I'm gonna use it. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and I think that's why I like there's probably a lot of rakes in there, because like a lot of gardening tools, I don't know what that thing with the like spinny like pointy things is on it, but like I've always picked it up from people when people had it in their garage and be like, yeah, man, I'm gonna use one of these on somebody one day.
Yeah, I dare somebody to break in right now, man. I got this weird gardening tool. Back off,
It's a rototiller tool, man.
Is that what it's
up the soil? Yeah, back and forth.
Sure, that's what it is.
Soil to aerate the soil.
Yeah, I'll aerate somebody's fucking. Anyway, I'm sorry.
So the first issue of this is done, man. So anybody that backs it, you're not gonna have to wait for it. You're not gonna, it's done. And do you guys have an idea on production for issue 2? Like, is that in the works yet, or soon?
It is not in the works yet. He's got issue like 1 through I think 5 outlined. He hasn't sent me a script for issue 2 yet. I am
swamped. I know. Yeah,
dude, I am so more than booked right now. It's kind of crazy, but I mean, which is awesome. Knock on wood. You know what I mean? But I got a lot of stuff in the queue right now.
4 books, man. Uriko, Nerida. Dusk Witch. That one's kind of on the back burner. You kind of said, but you want to get back to it, and now Big Game. So. Damn.
Yeah.
And you got 3 bands that you play with all the time. You said that you're going to be going all the way to the East Coast.
Northeast.
The Northwest.
Northwest. Northwest.
Yeah.
jamming
no
out in
question.
Washington. So yeah, you got a pretty packed schedule, brother. Like it's
I
amazing.
do, man. But dude, I mean, like, what else could I ask for? You know, it's either this or just working at McDonald's, and I don't want to do that. So I'd much rather do this. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So, like we said, you're busy because you wrapped up Nerida issue 2.
Oh God,
And what? A
oh
month
what
later,
an
you
issue
had
it
this
is,
one going,
dude.
right? 1 month later, you had Big Game Sagas
Yeah.
launched, right? So
Yeah.
there's no.
I mean, Big Game Saga, I think, launched like 2 weeks after Nerida
It was
campaign was
that
done.
close, eh? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that that just wrapped up, and you said your books are on the way; they're in the mail. So anyone who backed Nerida, you're going to start fulfilling that soon. You're going to be sending the stuff out in the mail for the
Yeah.
physical tiers on that pretty soon.
Yep. Along with stickers and bookmarks and posters and all kinds of crazy stuff with that one. I'm a big fan of like giving people tons of things in there. Because I mean, like, look, if you go to the local comic shop and you buy a comic book, you might buy it for like $4.99, right? That's the going price for a Marvel book or whatever. It's a cheap little floppy and it's collectible and maybe the story progresses and that's cool. But if you back something on Kickstarter, you're buying it from directly from the creators, first of all. And then second of all, I mean, you're gonna pay like $15 to get a comic book, mailed to you. I've backed comics before and I got a physical comic and it was just a comic in a box. The comic was great. I enjoyed it. But it left me wanting a little something else. So the fact that like I'm doing all the fulfillment for all my own books, I can throw in like, postcards, little mini prints, big 11x17 prints. There's also some stuff in the Kickstarter if you want to like get a T-shirt. I put a T-shirt in there too. Like I don't know, it's more fun to open up the package and you get the whole thing with all kinds
That's
of stuff.
cool too, because a lot of people like that's how Kickstarter was when I first got on, and then all of a sudden people got on that like, oh, people should pay for the stretch goals. They make them add-ons that you have to pay for now, and it's like, well, why am I paying $25 for a single floppy? And then you want me to pay $5 for a print? You want me to pay $2.50 for a sticker or anything? Yeah, and it's like, my buddy Richard, he still gives all that shit out with his comics, and you back him. A couple of guys I've really back do, and I'm happy to see you still do too, man. It's a good practice. I think that, like you said, man, like you're asking a lot, in my opinion, to for somebody to back your project, even if it's finished, because I backed the book, Lady Mayhem. It's completely finished. I have the PDF, but like, I don't think the physical copy's ever coming. You know what I mean? The guy just dipped, did it, and you know what I mean. And then that's a scary thing that you have to face when you back stuff. And so I think that like, yeah, if you take that gamble with the creator, I think it's kind of neat when the creator throws a little something extra. I think it makes the book special to the person that backed it as well. You know what I mean? I really do, because I kind of have a tighter connection with the books that the guy really delivered on.
Yeah, and I have people who come back and they'll book they've backed several of my books, which is awesome. It's like, whoa, I recognize this dude. You know what I mean? So I'll write him a little note and say, hey, thank you so much for backing. You're helping my little corner of the comic book industry stay alive, because without it, like,
Well,
I'm like,
you're a guy to back, in my opinion, on Kickstarter, man. Like, there's a lot of schlock, I would say, on there nowadays. But like a book like Nerida issue 2, like, and the variants that you have. I'm not a variant guy, but like, oh my god, these are just so sick. Like, I want all 3 of them, man. So cool. And then the book itself is just you open it up. It gave me big Rescuers Down Under feels at the beginning with her flying on the bird.
Yes, yeah. That's awesome, because I love that goddamn movie, man. Whew,
so you were going for that a little bit, huh?
Oh yeah, you kidding me, man? Like, no, I've always had a weird affinity for like tiny ass little people flying around on birds, and like, little mice and stuff that are doing really cool stuff. I don't know why. I was just like, you're sneaking around. Yeah, so that's one of my fairies.
Yeah,
and her name is Shiki the bird rider.
Yeah. And the bird, it is just rendered so beautifully, man. Like, I could look at your drawings of that bird for like hours.
Just
and I'm
birds in general, man. Like in the issue 1 where what is it? I have it here. Is it this one? Yeah, where she with this dude here, the little bastard there, and then he has all the crows come in. I always love this page with all the crows, and then you have it again. It comes back to play with her riding the hawk, you know, and number 2. And like I said last time you're on, like I remember seeing Uriko, and that's what drew me to your work. I was like, oh, this looks really cool. And like you said, the way you promote your stuff, you just threw like little pages up on your Instagram with a little blurb of her, like, oh, and it was really fun. And I was like, oh, cool. So I went back that, and then I saw Nerida after, and I was like, okay. Initially, I was like, okay, this is, you know, it didn't really draw me in. But then after I read issue 1, I was like, fuck, I think I like Nerida more than Uriko now.
Yeah.
I was totally sold on it after reading it. I was like, it's a mermaid book, and I was like, mermaids, you know, like, you know, I was like, but then after reading it, I was like, man, I'm totally sold on this. It was fantastic. Like the style, like you said, the watercolor style, it all fit perfectly. And like, I mean, your work is fantastic. I think you're probably one of the best at, how do you say, the production and quality. Like your speed and quality is fantastic. Like some people to do like quality work, they have to take forever. But I mean, you pump your stuff out and the quality doesn't seem to dip. Like every page is beautiful. It doesn't look like you cheat us on any panels. Like you go all out for every panel and every page, which is fantastic.
And the story is rich too. This issue 2 goes deep into the lore, man. We meet the king,
it's weird.
and like he's a cannibal. Like, oh, dude, it gets brutal in this issue. I really like where it went, man. Damn.
I had a lot of people who were like, so man, I heard there's gonna be like something real bloody happening in issue 2. I was like, issue 2, try issue 3, man. It gets real gnarly. Like they're just cutting people up. And I was listening to what's his name? Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. It's like a podcast that's out on whatever, Spotify and stuff. A friend of mine recommended it to me, and he was just going on and on and on about like the Assyrian kings and how they used to torture people, and then talking about British, you know, English kings and how they used to torture people and all this crazy stuff. And I was like, man, humans are just wicked, horrible people. We just are. I mean, historically, it's gnarly. So I was getting all these ideas about how to incorporate that into some of the stories. And yeah, if you want to make a wicked king, you got to make him wicked. You know what I mean? Like you got to make him just a down and dirtiest, horrible human. You know what I mean?
With a what do you call it? What do they call it? The right hand of the king.
Oh, the consigliere.
That character. You have that character as well, right? That's whispering in his ear. You know,
the wizard guy.
Yeah, the Grandma Warrington.
Yeah.
Where the hell did that guy come from? He's just lurking in the corner. What? Why? Gross.
Yeah, it's really cool. And one thing I love about this book is you have a lot of scenes where they're running through the forest, and your play of the shadow of the branches and everything. Oh man, just gorgeous. Like you see the branches, the shadow cast from the leaves and the branches and everything. Love it. You did the same thing, I think, in the first issue too, where she's running through the woods and you get that same aspect. And it's great. It's fantastic.
So one thing that I played with a lot in this issue, and I'm learning as I go, guys. Like I do not know how to draw comic books to this day. Like if you put me in a room next to Andy Kubert, he'd be like, "Get out of here, young buck. You don't know what you're doing." And I'd be like, "You're right. I'll see you later." You know. But with this issue, I was trying to play with light and shadow in a different way. So every scene pretty much takes place in a different environment, and it also takes place in a different time of the day, right? So the first book, the entire thing happens within a couple hours, and it's at night, right? So I could keep my palette pretty much the same throughout. But with this one, it's daytime. They're running through the forest. And then the sun's setting when she steals the laundry off the thing and escapes into the woods. That scene. So you're dealing with like weird shadows and weird light in the sky and all that kind of stuff.
And a murderous cat. Oh man, the
murderous cat.
The murderous cat. Face-eating cat. God damn.
Yeah.
So
man, I've been clipped a couple times by some crazy cats, so I know what that actually feels like. No, it's just terrible. But Yeah. So yeah, dealing with like color and stuff has been really fun with that book because I can experiment a little bit. Nobody can fire me from drawing that book because it's mine.
Well, I mean, like you keep it so cinematic, and I don't know, like I don't see how anybody could look at it and say you don't know how to draw a comic, man.
But you're great because you're also subtle. You don't overwork your colors. You know what I mean? And Johnny and I were talking about this on last Saturday's episode where sometimes people can overdo the coloring, where there's too much going on with the
The
coloring.
contrast is so bold, man, and it just doesn't match the art style. Like the colors are just searing off the page, and it's kind of like a more simple art style. Like it looks, but like like in any case, I think having really bold, overly contrasted colors kind of looks bad in the comic. So yeah, I like I wouldn't say the colors you use are muted, but like a lot of earth tones, I'd say, man, a lot of actual natural coloring. Some really really gorgeous hues though, man. Like Joe said,
And the way you blend as well.
Back to this running through the forest. I love this page because I like how there's the two panels of like their upper body and their lower body, and they don't match, but like they're it just looks so classy, man. It just just
Right on.
lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, speaking of weird colors, my daughter and I are working on a book it's called Yuki the Dragon Slayer. And it's about this interdimensional dragon slayer who's like middle school age. She's like seventh, eighth grade or whatever. She blasts into our dimension, being chased by a dragon that's after her because she stole the dragon's egg. And she proceeds to just completely destroy the middle school, having a fight with this dragon. But we were dreaming up different color schemes and stuff for it. And I said, well, what if we kept it so we're only really using like two colors, kind of like Heavy Liquid did by Paul Pope. If you guys haven't read it, that was
really
cool.
Yeah, we've done an episode on it, I believe, right, Joe?
Yeah. Well, then you know what I'm talking about. So if you take in like a cool color and kind of a warmer color or something like that, and you can blend them together or whatever, but that's your limited palette. And then the only exception would be the dragon's blood or human blood. So human blood would be whatever color that's going to be, and the dragon's blood could be like this crazy blue or green or whatever it is. And I was like, but whatever we do, we're gonna have to figure it out because this comic book is gonna be extremely bloody, like Invincible level bloody. You know what I mean? So
when can we expect that? That sounds wonderful, man. God damn. Yeah, you got I'm hyped now for another book of yours, man.
So how are you collaborating with your daughter? She's just writing it, or is she helping with the art as well? How does that work?
Have you ever like worked for your wife or your significant other in any capacity? Like, I'm going to fix the car instead of you taking it to the mechanic. And
I know I see where you're going with this.
And no matter what you do, there's always something wrong with what you did. No matter what you do, that's kind of our working relationship. I'm like, well, what if when she's like, yeah, that looks terrible, and I was like, but I ripped open another dimension and a dragon came through, and she's like, yeah, but it's just not that good, and I'm like, well, okay, So yeah, that book's been in the works for a little while now. She and I scripted it together. Yeah, it was a fun project over COVID. So years ago, back when she was still like in middle school. Now she's in high school. But I was trying to get her hyped about it again. I was like, look, think about it, man. Now you're like a big old high schooler. Like, you can, in this comic book, destroy that middle school that you hated. And all those girls that were at that middle school that you hated and hated you. Like, they can get blown up. You can burn them alive. You can crush them with a building. Like, now's your chance. And she was like, oh.
It's almost therapeutic. Yeah.
I didn't think about that. I was like, yes. That's great. That's great. There's no reason not to.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. See, I pulled up a pic this here. I love this. And this exemplifies, like, when I see this page, especially her face, like Johnny and I were saying, you have like kind of that bit of a European style flair to it. In the way you colored it, just the way you subtly blend your colors together in the background, like I mean, it's fantastic. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love
Thank you.
that panel.
Yeah, man.
I've been messing around a lot more with like the weird technical stuff of coloring lately. Actually, my kid was the one who was like, "Why don't you just use an overlay?" I'm like, "What's that?" She's like, "Oh my God, you don't know anything about how to use anything. Like, what's wrong with you?" So I'm like, "I do too, leave me alone." And so when she went to school, I got on YouTube. I was like, "What's an overlay?"
Yeah.
And I watched a couple of YouTube tutorials, and they're like, "It's like this," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, well that would make my life a lot easier." So yeah, but that book had a whole lot of that. The other book that has a ton of overlays and fun color stuff is it's called Something Beyond the Petrichor, which that one I'm working
Yes.
on.
Yeah, I saw your stuff for that on Instagram. It looks gorgeous, man.
That's what that's the Apollo City outcome the wolves one, right? Is that it? Or is that the different one?
No, that's a different one. That's with Brandon Bloxdorf and all those guys.
Okay.
This one is with a guy named Dakota Brown, who wrote a book that's coming out, I think, with Band of Bards, called Death Comes to the Toy Maker.
Okay.
And it's about like Father Christmas, but as a badass who kicks people's ass. I don't know. It looks awesome, but Anyway, he approached me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in working on a book?" And he came up with this one where it's like a post-apocalyptic thing where it's about this girl who lives in Tennessee. She's about like, I don't know, 16, 17. And in the story, acid rains have started to fall and they have melted everything that's not plastic for whatever reason. So her father, before he left, had the forethought to like cover the entire house with tarps, like plastic tarps. And so she's left there just with her. It's kind of like a Wilson character. It's like a Calvin and Hobbes type situation. She's got a stuffed turtle that she's talking to.
Oh, that one. Yes. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and that one, you guys are talking about me pumping out pages fast and not losing quality in the pages, and I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. But you do have to find ways to make it happen in a way that it's going to be sustainable, right? So with that one, I picked a style that I think works pretty well, where there's no heavy line work anywhere in it at all. It's just thin lines. The entire thing is thin lines, and you keep them spaced apart from each other so they don't crowd each other. Then the inking goes real fast, and then from there I can block in the color as fast as possible, and then do tons of overlays and things like that to get the mood and the idea of where they are. Like, are they inside underneath the tarp of the house, or are they out in the wild where it's just this wasteland of roving rainstorms and stuff? You can do a lot with color, just with color. So that's an example of a book where I had to figure out, like, okay, if I'm going to do 4 issues of this and they need to be done like fast, what can I do? What's going to work well to where I can get these pages done quickly, but have them still look really, really cool. You know what I mean? So,
which one of your Instagrams did you have that on? Like, I'm on your art one. Was that on Nerida? Or
yeah, it's on the Nerida comic one somewhere.
Okay.
You'd have to scroll down kind of far, probably, but yeah, it's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you had it set up as a 3-panel grid, right? When you scroll through Instagram, it was 3 posts.
Yes,
it was a 3-image. Yeah,
it was like I had a couple of scroll over posts that I did saying, "Hey, I don't know if you guys want to see behind the curtain of the wizard, but this is what it looks like when I have like just the line work, and then these are the different layers of color that go into it to build it up to the final product, and the final product looks like this." Because I don't know, man, like there's a couple colorists out there where I really, really wish they would just post their layers for me, for God's sake, like, how did you do that? How did you get there? Elizabeth Breitweiser, who does
oh yeah, she does all the Sean Phillips books. She like did a lot of coloring, and then she did for Stephen Epting too. A lot of stuff with Brubaker and Epting, and a lot of stuff for Brubaker and Phillips.
Yes. I mean, a monster. She's so incredibly talented, and I want to know more. Like, get rid of Sean Phillips inks. They're amazing. Yes, I get it, but get rid of that shit. I want to see what's happening with the color. You know what I mean? And how they're layered on top of each other, and what sort of like overlays she's doing, and how man. But she doesn't do that. She'll never tell me. She doesn't care about me.
Last I heard, they her and her husband got pretty canceled. Like they sold their book on Indiegogo, and then they didn't fulfill it, and they got a deal selling it at Walmart instead.
Yeah.
Like they just took the money and ran. And they're kind of persona non grata in the comic book industry. Her and her husband. The
That's how that
Weisters.
went down. I didn't even
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah,
I
it's
heard
called
about their
Red
Walmart.
Rooster or something like that. Yeah.
I heard about their.
Yeah, they
their
made like
Walmart.
$1 million, or like it made like a couple $100,000. It was like a huge Indiegogo, and like and then they ended up not fulfilling and just being like, hey, we're selling out. But if you want our book, you could get it at Walmart for $5.99 or whatever.
Yeah.
Damn. That's why that Red Rooster book never went anywhere. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Dang, that's cold blooded.
And then when I saw it at Walmart, they actually had the price tag stickers on the fucking cover. So like, even if anybody wanted it, like, who's gonna buy it with a sticker on it, man? You don't put a sticker on the cover of a comic. It's evil.
It should have a UPC code on the back if you're a professional.
Yeah, straight up.
I know how to do it.
Earlier, you were talking about sometimes you do like T-shirt designs for your campaigns.
Yeah.
I know you print T-shirts yourself, so all the T-shirts you offer on your campaigns, do you make them yourself? The prints?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I have a small screen printing shop in Austin. It's called Fox Box Printing. It's like in my drummer's backyard. It's just this tiny little shop that I built.
I saw you did some for Bigfoot Knows Karate. I saw you did some of their T-shirts there. I saw a post you made. Did some of their shirts and stuff. Yeah. I saw you did a few like flyers for gig flyers, I think, for your shows. Yeah. I saw some of that stuff. Some really nice stuff you're doing with your I love silk printing, man. I think the look is just so much better.
It's really cool. I mean,
it is cool.
It's tactile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the real deal. Yeah. So like here's another big plan that I have, because I have all these like huge plans for things and they're kind of pointless and they're never really going to work, but I do them anyway. I printed some mailers for somebody and he was like, the Gemini mailers, can you print on those? I was like, yeah, it's like a pizza box. Why not? So I printed for him and they came out kind of cool. And I was like, why am I not doing this for myself? So yeah. So I've got a whole stack of Gemini mailers over there that I'm gonna take over to the shop, and I'm gonna print a big old Creature from the Black Lagoon on there. So when people get their Nerida books fulfilled and their Big Game Saga books fulfilled, look out for the cool printed logo on your Gemini mailer.
And as a big fan of Creech, man, our Gill man, as you're supposed to call him, but I always refer to him as Creech. Yeah, dude, I love that logo, and I love everyone with it.
Thanks, man.
So that's your imprint. Black Lagoon, man. Yep. Like if anyone noticed, if you backed Nerida and you read the digital one because the physical is on its way now, you notice that now it has a Black Lagoon logo on it with the B and with the number of the issue and stuff, and you have that little logo on the cover. Like we were talking before, I noticed it right away. I was like, oh, what's this Black Lagoon thing going on? And that's what you said. You had an old LLC that you and your wife had, and you're like, let's revive it. You want to print books? Why not? You know? And
sure, yeah.
So Nerida so now pretty much all your books are going to be run through your Black Lagoon, right?
Yes. Well, all of my books are. The one that I'm doing, Something Beyond the Petrichor, is actually going to be with Red 5 Comics.
Okay, yeah, I know Red 5, yeah.
Oh, you're going to be working for Red 5?
Theoretically. Nice. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I haven't signed any contracts yet.
Yeah, they're a small publisher, but they've
they're tiny. They're out of Houston. They got connections in like the movie biz and stuff like that.
Atomic Robo been running forever. Great comic, man. Like,
yeah.
At least that's their big claim to fame that I remember is the Atomic Robo series.
Right on. Well, Something Beyond the Petrichor is going to be their flagship book from now on. So
hell yeah, it's gonna sell more than Something's Killing the Children, man.
I doubt it. Oh my god, yeah, not enough blood in this one. But yeah, so I'm all of my books are going to be so the way we got to Black Lagoon was kind of weird. I'm sorry I'm so sweaty. My air conditioner broke, and it's like 100 degrees in Austin. So I'm about to get naked over here, if that's okay.
It's going to be the hottest summer on record from what they're projecting, man. So yeah, it's only
Yeah.
going to get worse, bro.
I know.
Well,
It's really cool.
Well, since you said that, we have an extra person watching. Since you said you're going to get naked, so
See?
Oh,
See
yeah.
how it works? Yeah, it's great. It's great. Taking it off.
Still looking for the Petrichor stuff, but I found one of them flyers that he was talking about. This is for Born Twins, probably my favorite band of his. Totally what I would call Scott Pilgrim core. Like I love Born Twins though. I could totally see them opening for Clash at Demon Head. Like it got that same kind of vibe. Some of the songs kind of remind me of that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I mean, I get used by all my bands to make flyers. And then sometimes I'm so busy drawing comic books, they're like, dude, where's the flyer? I'm like, and then they make something crazy and it looks better than what I can do anyway. So yeah. It is what it is. But they can't fire me.
No, man. Yeah, and drummers are hard to come by, man. Like in the hardcore scene, like if you like got rid of a couple drummers, like in a couple towns, like a whole scene would dry up, man. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, we been through my handful of train wrecks at shows where parts will break and stuff, but there's almost nothing that can't be fixed with some gaff tape. Like a roll of tape, man, you're good to go.
I mean, like you're pretty multi-talented even in the music, man. You can play the guitar as well. Like you have one band that's just you, which you sent me that Whole Post Digger song, which I absolutely adore, man.
Yeah, that one is that I want to record all those like for real and put them out, you know what I mean? But I haven't gotten around to it. Someday when I'm a crotchety old man and I'm retired and my kids moved out or whatever, I'll just be on a porch recording dumb songs like that all day long. It's gonna be
awesome. Man.
Yeah.
Instagram's acting slow because I'm on the StreamYard. I'm having a hard time scrolling down to it.
Yeah.
Live on air. It's so I would like to show the Petrichor stuff, but like I don't know if I can get to it.
Oh, it's all good, man. That one's going to be coming down the pipeline hot and heavy this coming fall and into the spring probably.
So very soon-ish. Okay.
I'm not sure when they want to, like what they're going to schedule for like their release date and distro and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, as far as my schedule to get it illustrated, I've got to get it out the door sooner the better. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you don't have it drawn yet though?
No.
All the way? No? Okay.
No, but I'm crazy. Like I could like Nerida book 1 when I was like I want to launch it in February. I drew it in December because I'm stupid. Like
But I mean, an artist, I think back in the day, a lot of these artists drew a book a month.
Yeah.
Obviously they didn't color and everything. They had their own inkers. There was a whole process. They just penciled. But I mean, they were producing an issue a month, right? So
I was talking with a friend about he watched a documentary about Rob Liefeld, and people were like trashing him and talking all kinds of crap about how he didn't know anatomy and he was like one of the worst comic artists ever and blah 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 blah. And then they interviewed Jim Lee and he was like, you can say whatever you want about him, but dude was cranking out pages. He was just killing it. I mean, he was just handing in pages like every day. He's like, all right, this one's done, this one's done, this one's done. They're like,
you know what? I
awesome.
think his earlier work is nicer than the work later on.
I mean, I like his like he's gotten really good at drawing his characters to the point where he doesn't do backgrounds anymore. But like I like Rob. Rob is like in a weird way my Nickelback. You know how there's like all those people that put the shit out of Nickelback. Like that's kind of how I am for No Feet Rob. Like
he's he's a guilty pleasure for sure. But I mean, like Shatterstar, Cable, all that stuff was awesome. I mean, the he didn't draw like Joe Kubert, but he drew the way he drew, and that's awesome. Like,
Well, he
why?
taught himself when he was 16 years old, and he was the king of
Exactly.
the comics for a time period at that age.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He could do anything he wanted. So yeah, he was a little shit. Like, who wouldn't have been if
Yeah.
you were given his
But
predicament? You know what I mean?
early on too, it was on newsprint, and I found like
Yeah, when you
coloring,
see
the
reprints
coloring,
of his stuff, yeah.
this coloring back then suited his style of drawing so much better than the way, like we were talking, like a lot of colorists, like I think overwork the colors on his pages, so it makes, I don't know, it does something to the work and it doesn't look as good. But when I look at his older stuff where the colors were a lot simpler, blocked out, you know, and I find it just looks so much better on his pencils and inks than a lot of the more modern colorists today.
That has to do with he was working during the transition between
newsprint and digital,
well, analog and digital. Yeah, so people got the ability to digitally start to color, and they were like, since I can, I will. But you know, Terminator 2 hadn't come out yet, or they weren't paying attention. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They
That's how I feel
patented
about
it, they
color.
packaged it, and they want to put it on a plastic lunchbox, and they're selling it. They want to sell it. Go full gold boom with it. Yeah, man.
Exactly. No, but I mean, so that's kind of always been my ethos, is like my modus operandi. It's like if I was capable of pumping out pages and doing like 30 pages a month, and I'm just a factory, well then there's no reason on earth that, say, Dark Horse or Image or Marvel wouldn't want me, because I just crank out the pages. Like, I'm super reliable. That's what I go for. I'm not
I think that
as I would like to
that
be,
counts for a lot, because a lot of books, it's happened to a few books where they don't meet deadlines and the book gets dropped.
Yeah.
Right? Because they can't meet deadlines. So I think being like reliable, like you said, is definitely an extremely good quality to have in an industry where deadlines are incredibly important.
Yeah, it reminds me of one of my favorite John Romita Jr. quotes. Like, people used to tease him about his art because he had those square heads and those proportions were always kind of goofy. And they'd always be like, "Oh, Junior, what's your technique? What do you call your style?" And he goes, "On time." That's what I call my style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's another one. He'll bang out, and I'm sure it has to do with deadlines and how tight his deadlines are, because I've seen pages of his that are just breathtaking. Blow you away. Not covers, like interiors on certain series. And I think maybe he was working with a looser deadline so he could put more time into it. And then you see other ones where, I mean, you don't even know how they put this into print, right? Like, how did this, so I mean, deadlines do factor in, and people don't take that into account.
I also think that it's the inker and some of the other artists that they put alongside him that don't really know how to work with his art
style.
And they just literally ink it without trying to like help him improve it a little bit, if like you said, because he did rush it. So an inker could possibly go in there and kind of make it look a little fancier, but they choose not to. They choose to just do his lines and like make him look like a schmo. Just tanks the whole book, in my opinion.
I'm one of those people that if you don't give me a deadline, it's not going to get done. You need to tell, like, okay, it's loose, it's whenever you're ready. It's like, no, you tell me July 4th, the 4th of July, that's when it's due. You'll have it July 3rd. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. So because otherwise, like, other things will move in front of you that do have a deadline, that do have like a solid, like, oh, I need this by this date. And so, that's just kind of how that works.
Yeah.
Well, just spitballing here, brother. I can see Nerida being a nice hardcover from Dark Horse, since you name dropped them earlier. I can completely see that. And Uriko, definitely Oni Press. Yeah, I can see them running that.
Nerida too, if you want to launch it in Europe. Magnetic press. It definitely has that magnetic press look to it.
Or like, I could see Casterman or any of the big Euro people like putting it out and running in heavy metal. That'd be gangster.
Yeah, because the size of Nerida isn't your standard North American size either. It's a little like shorter.
Yeah, almost like the distillery books are right.
No, the distillery books are a weird size, right? They're
I think they're a little weirder size than yours are, but it's close. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
quite as rectangular as a comic, kind of more squarish.
It's like you said, you didn't know what you were doing. Like you said, I don't know what I'm doing when I'm making comics. So is Nerida the size because you just made a mistake, or was it purposely that size?
It's not a mistake if you do it on purpose. Story of my life, right? Nerida and Uriko were both originally supposed to just be Xerox copied comic books that I was going to like
there you
guerrilla
go.
style
Mhm.
leave around town. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
legal size piece of paper. If you open it up, it's 8.5 by 8.5 by 14.
Yeah.
So I was just planning to go to Kinko's, and they don't even have Kinko's anymore, kids. Sorry, but go to the
Yeah,
Office
yeah.
Depot and
So there
Yeah.
is a method to the madness then. That's
yeah,
good.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Zine style, man. Doing it yourself, man.
Yeah, punk rock as fuck, like you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
I just didn't know
You
anybody,
have?
but
Did you make any copies like that?
yeah, I did.
Oh yeah, do you still
Oh,
have
you
some
actually
kicking
have
around?
ash can versions? Killer.
I have a couple somewhere around.
Still kicking around? That's awesome.
I don't know where they
Yeah.
are. They're somewhere in my stuff. But yeah, I'll man, I actually have the very very first like issue 0 of Nerida that I drew, I don't know, ages and ages ago, and I drew it pen and ink on paper, and it totally didn't make sense, and it was like, I don't know, 15 pages, 16 pages, something like that. It's just black and white with no halftones, none of that stuff, and it
You
was a
think of-
Xerox copy thing.
You think
Yeah.
about putting that as a PDF for fans, man? That would be interesting. Like, dude, for me and Joe, we love seeing artists that we love's
Yeah.
early work. They're kind of rough
Like
works, man. That interests the hell out of me, and I think probably a lot of other comic book fans.
Because we touched on this last episode, just the evolution. We love seeing the evolution of a creator and their work. Like it's so interesting to see kind of how they got from point A to point B, right? And then from point B to point C, and to see that evolution is just it's just awesome. Love it.
I found that extremely encouraging when I was younger, like seeing an artist that I really, really liked. And then Jim Lee, perfect example. I had like a Punisher comic by him that was just terrible. I mean, it was nightmarish. You're looking at it going, whoa, this is bad. Like, I can draw better than that. I could draw better than that when I was a 12-year-old. Like, what happened? Learning on the job. And then you fast forward to, 1998 when he's doing X-Men. And then you fast forward again to like 2001 or whatever when he's doing Batman for DC. And then you fast forward again to now when he's doing whatever he wants because he's God. And it's really, really cool it's encouraging to someone like me to be able to see that and say, oh, well, you're not born a badass. Like, you got to start somewhere, and then you can get somewhere else. You know what I mean? So
you work your way up or wherever to that goal you set for yourself. See, like in the first Nerida book, you put stuff like this in it. I love this kind of stuff. At the end, you put that, which we see these characters, and especially that one in the second book. So it's pretty cool that.
I like throwing sketches in the back of comics and stuff, and I was kicking around the idea of if I ever did like a perfect bound, collected edition or whatever of Nerida once it's all done, throwing in that like issue 0 of what the book originally looked like back like 15 years ago or whatever, just for shits and giggles. I think it would be pretty fun.
Hell yeah. I mean, definitely a reason to get the book too. You know what I mean? Especially if you keep that to yourself until that the collected edition's printed. Yeah, that's a pretty good special feature. You know what I mean? And like I miss that type of thing, man. Like I miss DVDs where like you had the extra disc just full of shit that you're probably gonna only watch maybe a little bit of it, but it was cool to have it. You know what I mean? Like they made
absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing. So I'll have to save it until I'm like a well-established illustrator, because I mean, I don't want people to see it now. Like, I mean, I've posted little snippets and stuff on my Instagram way down at the bottom, and people are like, "I really like this art style. This is cool," and I'm like, "It's not." I'm not.
Nerida is so good. Like I'm surprised that I'm hoping it catches on a little more, man. Because like my buddy Curtis Clow, like his books, like he's kind of like got a cool deal with Dark Horse. They kind of put out a couple of his hardcovers, and he's like a Kickstarter success. And I can see you going down that same line, like because it's just there. Your story is so interesting and tight. Like I'm really interested in the lore of what's going to be happening with this character, because I'm getting the feeling he's going to be kind of a main character in the story ish. And can't wait to see him. And yeah, this whole thing with Nerida herself and the cat, like, does she have control of all animals? Like, there's just some really neat stuff going on.
The story,
I'm hooked.
The story of Nerida ends once she's fully dressed. So each issue she gets a new item of clothing. And then once she's fully dressed, the story's done. That's it. That's the story of Nerida.
So
that was my theory of.
That's the theory. I knew that. I mean,
that's it. She's got her pants now. She's got some pants. So
it all ends when she finds some shoes, man.
I've already been getting shit from my wife and my daughter about this for years. I don't need it from you. No, so like she grabs those pants, right? She puts the pants on, and she also grabs like a top. But the top that she grabs is like a corset because she's outside of a brothel.
Okay.
So when she goes to like try and put it on, it's not really gonna work. And she's like, "How does this even? I don't know what's happening right there." So that's an epic fail. And then, not to give anything away, but she eventually gets abducted by fairies, who tend to shrink you to take you where they're going to take you. And so when they shrink her, they don't shrink her clothes.
So she's naked again.
To start all over again.
So you're going full Celtic mythology with your fairies. Nice, man. You're going to do toadstool rings and all that?
Maybe. Why not? You know what I mean? I'm already blending like mermaids, sirens, and silkies all together. And people have been like, well, yeah, blah, 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 blah. I was like, wait till she starts like screaming at people and melting their faces off by accident. It's like, it's going to get weird.
Yeah. That's... I gotta say, like that's something that I love. A book that takes me by surprise, like Nerida did. It just makes me love it even more and appreciate it even more because I had no expectations, and it just did nothing but surprise me with each turn of the page. And man, it's my favorite thing that you've done so far. Like,
thank you,
and I mean, I love like Uriko. I mean, visually, that book, like, just look at this shit you put out for that. Like, you put stuff like this out, which is, killer. I mean, come on.
Death Metal album cover.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not love that? I mean, so, you got a visual flair to your stuff. And then, like, come on, this too. Look at the design of this one. I mean, Dusk Witch. I mean, come on. Yeah. The skull, the painted skull face. I mean, you got a great eye for character design. Like, thanks. I mean, all your characters are fantastic. Like the little Fae girl who rides the hawk, like her design is fantastic. It's on point. The Saga, big game Saga, just the hat, working the rice fields or whatever it is, I mean, it's great.
The big fat loser guy that's like kind of running the hunt, you know what I mean?
Hunt,
like, the way you depict him,
puts his fucking sweaty drink down and fucks up the whole fucking thing.
I don't even know what that's gonna do, but he made it a point. He was like, it has to say error when he picks up his drink off the like time machine.
I saw that. So
you picked it up. I don't know where that goes. I don't know why. Like, if somebody gets stranded, is the whole thing broken? I don't know, but either way, it was one of those weird Easter eggs that he was very specific. I had to put that in there.
That's interesting that you don't know where it's going to go either. You know what I mean? That's you're in the same boat as us readers. That's crazy.
I'm along for the ride with you guys for sure. But yeah, so like me and Bill were talking about. Well, I keep sending them Kickstarters that are like raising $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and every one of them is like busty pirate lady versus busty ninja lady, and they're both lose their shirts. And it's a joke for us.
It is. It's horrible. Johnny and I.
There are people on Kickstarter who actually appreciate really good comics, and they just want to read a really good comic. And I'm not gonna. I'm guilty. Like, a couple of my comic books have a couple of boobs in them too, but those are side notes, maybe anecdotes to the whole story, right? It's not the main focus.
No,
it's people.
Yeah, it's like how the Europeans do it. Like it's not she's naked, but like it's not even really in a sexual manner because she doesn't
No.
understand really
Well, I
nudity and
mean,
our concept. She's just trying to clothe herself because she doesn't want to get scratched up. Otherwise,
Yeah.
like she
and
probably would still
not
run around naked. You know what I mean?
not just
Because she
that,
does.
she's a mermaid
Yeah,
Yeah.
who got taken by surprise and lost her skin to become a mermaid again. So she's running around like, oh shit, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Not used to being a human. So, like kind of, so it makes sense. Like, just like every day, we're not always clothed as people. Sometimes we're
No.
naked because we take a shower, this or that. We happen, like, look, you were hot, so you took your shirt off. There's
and he's
a
still
logical
hot.
explanation. It's just a normal thing. Whereas
Yeah. And
it's not gratuitous. It's completely natural and within the story, right? So
just like
there's
it
a big
totally,
difference.
I don't have pants on either. It's no big deal. Like, whatever.
Oh man,
I'm just joking, guys.
it's fine.
It's
It's
time to
fine.
put
We
up-
used to have
time to-
another cast member. He's not around too much lately. Goose. I was always worried that he didn't have pants on, and he'd stand up all the time. And I never
You're
knew
like,
what was
"Oh,
going to happen
oh,
when Goose was
right.
going to stand up on air.
I think
One of
this is
these
the
days.
perfect time to try to put our paywall into practice now.
Okay.
David's naked now, so we got to put up our paywall, make people pay.
Yeah.
Pay to see it.
David.
David, yeah.
No,
Magic Mike
there's nothing to
live, full Monty, whatever. Reference any
Yeah.
other movie that has strippers in it.
see. Male strippers. Yeah. My wife makes fun of me because I was working as a carpenter for a long time, and my guns are getting sad now that I've been drawing comic books instead. She's like, "You get those comic book arms, man. That's not what I married." And blah 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 blah. I was like, "Dude, you married like a scrawny guitar player." And
You got to
I
get on
happen to-
the Capullo diet, man. Some roids, man. Doing the Liver King shit. Like I don't know what Capullo
Yeah.
does, but he looks like he's like on the Liver King, like eating bear testicles and stuff like this. Like
Oh shit. Yeah.
all
The
ripped.
fish, snake oil, and drinking panther piss and stuff like that. Yeah, that'll get you there.
You've been going too deep on your research for
Hey man,
for your
like
book.
Yeah.
you got-
In big game saga, is there going to be a scene where like one of the hunters is tanning their butthole? Like that's inquiring minds want to know. That's kind of like a dude bro like cryptocurrency big hunter game thing to do.
so full circle, we were talking about boobies, and Bill Poor and I were, and he was like, "Okay, there's gonna be some man boobs in the next issue," and I was like, "Whose man boobs?" And so he sent me the guy, the kind of chubby dude who's like smarmy, like silver haired guy.
Yeah.
He's like, "This guy's guy." I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't want to." And then he starts sending me all these pictures of like man boobs that are really terrible.
Oh
And
man,
then
your algorithm's gonna be fucked.
He ruined his own algorithm. He's like, he was like, "Oh man, like it's sending me all kinds of crazy like steroids and things to get rid of my man boobs." He's like, "I don't have man boobs." I was like, "Well,
That's
the internet doesn't know any better."
that's
AI
when you
doesn't
take your
know any
wife's
better.
phone or laptop and do it from your wife's phone or laptop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like to do stuff like that for my daughter's cell phone. I'm like, start searching something. She's like, "No, what are you doing? Stop!" Just searching like a cheesy song from the '80s. She's like, "You're gonna ruin my playlist." Oh,
Yeah.
it's all bad.
Yeah, man.
It's all bad. Nothing but bad ideas. This guy.
Yeah. All right. So just so people know, you can see the banner on the bottom. David's new book, Big Game Saga, that he's writing with Bill, that he just mentioned, is on Kickstarter till June 17th. So we have a link in the descriptions and in the chat. So just go click on that. Go back this book. It's finished. It's fully funded. So once the campaign's done, it's off to the printers and then off to you. So man, and it's a fun book. Great concept, like we talked about earlier. Hunting historical war figures of the past, right? So it's pretty fun. It's if you're a fan of, let's say, Westworld kung fu movies or anything like that, anything that's cool action oriented, well, I mean, you'll enjoy this. I mean, it's fun sci-fi, historic historic, sci-fi. What? It's got a little blend of action. Yeah, you know, yeah,
yeah, a little Kurosawa. Like, there's the rake one more time. Just pow.
Yeah, so, man, go check it out and go follow David on his socials because you're constantly posting stuff. Either follow Nerida, or you can go follow your personal account where you post a lot of your band stuff, a lot of your T-shirt work you do. If people are interested in seeing what kind of stuff you print on your silk printing, like flyers, posters, T-shirts. That's fun too. You post a lot of videos of that, the process stuff you do for that stuff. Like you just got a fun page to go check. You always have like little clips from your shows, like when you're up on the pool table, topless, playing guitar.
I got in so much trouble for that.
Did you?
Oh yeah. They were like, "Who's gonna pay for the new felt for the pool table?" I was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't think about that." And they're like,
"Oh, did you mess up the felt for real?"
No, I didn't. But they were.
Yeah, trying to get dicks because they can.
They're trying to fish for a new felt because.
Yeah, essentially. And I was like, "Well, you can't squeeze lemon juice out of a pineapple."
Yeah.
Got no money. Sorry.
Yeah, suing broke people doesn't work, man.
They're probably going to try to jip you on your on the pay anyways.
Oh, we didn't get paid anything to play that club. We never did. So
yeah,
it was our favorite place to play.
You guys probably mostly get money from your merch, right? Isn't that what most playing bands get money from?
Yeah,
like they don't actually get anything from the gate.
I mean, it depends. Like some clubs will give you a great payout, you know, because they recognize that, hey, this entertainment is why people are even coming to our club at all. And then some places are kind of like, hey, you're lucky to be here playing. Every other person who walks by you on the street is probably better than you at what you do. So screw you. And then you just sell T-shirts and stickers and records and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it helps that my bandmates have a guy who can print all kinds of merch. Real helpful. Again, don't kick me out of the band because I can print the T-shirts. But it's just how.
So did you work that angle like last time?
What do you mean?
Like you were selling your comics because they thought it was the other guy the hot guy from the band before.
Yeah, I haven't had to do that since. I mean, people. But if it happens again, yeah, for sure. I'll just pick the hottest dude in the room and be like, "That guy, yeah, these are his comics."
Are you still dragging some copies around with you and putting it on the merch table and trying to sell your books at your shows?
I'm trying to. I intend to bring some up to the Northwest. Just if I can, if I happen to see a comic shop, or if my band will. I mean, situations like that, you have downtime sometimes, to where you don't really need to set up, you don't need to break down, but you're trapped at the club for like 3-4 hours. Well, shit, man, I'll grab a beer and then sit behind the merch table. And if I got all my comics set up, and I'll be like, yeah, buy this so I can get another beer. Come on, you know what I mean?
But
not as creepy as that, but yeah.
Now you have, like where Johnny was saying, you have quite a few books now that you can actually display out on a table. Like, have you been looking into any conventions? Going to do a few comic conventions? I know you're pretty busy, but
I'm doing one called Comic Art San Antonio. That's in October.
Okay.
And I did one called Staple here in Austin. That's just indie comics. Like,
okay.
no superhero stuff, no capes and all that kind of stuff, unless it's an indie cape. And those have been the best for me. I've done a couple of really big ones, like Comic Palooza out in Houston.
Okay.
Sold like 2 comics.
Wow.
And I talked to countless people and said, hey, do you like comic books? And they're like, I don't read. And I'm like, well, that's weird. I don't know
what the fuck you doing here, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called a comic con, not like a comic con, like you're confused. But anyway, yeah. So when people show up to see William Shatner, they're not there to buy some schmuck like me.
Yeah, Johnny.
They should call it a media con. It shouldn't be called a comic con anymore.
Yeah,
man. Media con
or fan expo or whatever.
Yes.
Like,
yeah,
take the comic word out of it. It's so.
Those are fun. Those are fine. Those are great. Like, if you want to, that's the only place you can get a Funko Pop that looks like your grandpa. That's awesome. That's cool. Do it. Great. But, like, it ain't got nothing to do with comic books. You know what I mean? So I did lie to some people at a big one to sell a comic book. Finally, I just was like, like, dang, I need gas money to get home, or I'm stranded here, this in Waco. Ugh. So I was like, man, I'm telling you, get in on the bottom floor because this comic book, and I pointed to Uriko, and I was like, this vampire one, I'm talking to Hulu right now about getting the series. I'm telling you, man, I'm talking to Hulu. And then this other one, the Nerida one, Netflix has been courting me like crazy. Nobody knows about it. I'm like this unknown dude. But if you get these comics, you have no idea how much they're going to be worth. I'm telling you, a year from now, it's going to be like all over Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And the chick was like, "Oh yeah, really?" And she straight up bought all my comics for me. I was like, I feel bad, but I don't.
Oh, it's a snake oil salesman, man.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
like, and you probably like she got out of there with what, giving you $30. I mean, it wasn't like you highway robbery or anything like that.
And
it's a good investment. She got some damn good comics,
good books. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She ain't gonna.
Now
she got
probably read them.
Yeah, she's an idiot, in my opinion. Yeah.
She read them and probably like, damn, these are pretty damn good. I could see why Hulu and Netflix would want to get in on this.
Yeah, if I ever see her again, she's gonna be like, "Hey, what happened with Hulu?" I'll be like,
fell through like anything. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, like if you pay attention, like big stuff, like the Grindel show, like that's never happened. You know what I mean? And that was like a big announcement that they made like 2 years ago. Like a lot of that stuff, like it gets announced and it just doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Why the Last Man made it halfway through the first season, and I was hooked. And then they dropped it because they couldn't get any of those actors to come back after there was a COVID shutdown. And so they were like, "Well, we can't just replace the president and the main guy and the main female lead and all of us. Like that wouldn't work. So we're just going to cancel the show." And I'm like, "Oh, what?"
I thought it was a pretty bad adaptation. Personally, I was not a fan of that show. The Paper Girls I thought was a lot cuter. I thought that was kind of botched a little bit too. Like BKV can't catch a break in my opinion on the adaptations. Like he ain't like.
Yeah, I'm real worried about Saga if they try and adapt Saga.
Oh man, if they do that, then they need to get the same people that are doing the Sandman show and like just fucking just adapt Saga like right across. If they try to fuck around with it and do like what Seth Rogen does to Garth Ennis books all the time, like I ain't there for that, man. Like, I never liked Seth Rogen to begin with, and like I literally hate his ass now for what he did to The Preacher and The Boys. I know I'm supposed to like The Boys, but like I can't stand it. I love the cast of both the shows. I want to like them, but like, oh my, the writing is horrible. They ruined like the in my opinion, those books.
Well, don't hold back, man. Tell us how you really feel. I mean, I don't want you to pull any punches here.
My bad. I went on a tangent while you're here, man. I'm sorry.
But like Saga, make it an animation. Maybe it'd be better suited as an animation.
Yeah, definitely.
So like, let's say you're going to conventions. Which books would you have available for your table? Which ones do you have physical copies of that you can sell?
I've got Nerida 1, Uriko 1 and 2. I've got some Dusk Witch books.
Okay.
I'm gonna very soon have Nerida 2 as well. So that's 5 different books, and each one of those has like 3 different variant covers. As I sell out of the variant covers, I'm not printing more, but at the time I have like, I guess, 4 or 5 different covers to be able to put on my table. So it gets pretty crowded, and it looks like I have a lot more than I actually do, which is great.
Will you have Big Game Saga will be close to being printed by then as well, probably, eh?
Yeah. So Big Game Saga, by the end of next week, I'll know how many books I need for the Kickstarter, and then I'm planning on printing at least 50 to 100 extra to have of the main cover, so that I can try and sell them in comic shops in Austin and all that kind of stuff. The big goal though, like down the line, is to try and put books in shops with actual distribution, and that's where the Black Lagoon book stuff comes in play. I'm going to throw Uriko under the bus first. I'm going to have I'm going to have all 5 issues done, and then figure out a release schedule for that. And the printer that I'm working with now is based out of Florida, and they do direct fulfillment with Diamond and Lunar and Simon Schuster and all of the big distributors. Cool. So that would be like offset printed, large quantities in the thousands as opposed to in the hundreds. and then hopefully get those put on shelves nationwide. And if they sell, if they work, then maybe do the same thing with Nerida, maybe do the same thing with Big Game Saga. Who knows? But that's kind of the next step for me.
If that happens, are you planning on reformatting Nerida and making it a traditional size comic? Or are you going to keep it? It's kind of diminutive, different dimension. I'm
going to keep it wonky.
Are you good? Sweet.
Yeah.
Because I think that'll draw the eye. You know what I mean? That's when Sumerian, or not Sumerian, but when they were Behemoth, they really drew my eyes because they had them weird little square comics. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going to keep it the same. I'm going to keep both of them the same size, Uriko and Nerida, just for continuity. I think when it becomes a collected edition and it's like a perfect bound little book that's like 5 issues all in one or something like that, it's going to look really cool with that square format,
Yeah.
So
cool.
That's just me.
Hell yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Always a problem. I'm always a problem.
Yeah. I mean, if the printers can do it, then it's not a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I've talked to a couple printers that are like, oh, no, we can't do that. It's got to be a standard size, blah, blah, blah. But all that tells me is that they don't actually cut their books themselves. They farm it out to somebody else to do it. Because this guy that I'm working with now out of Florida is, he's like, yeah, we'll cut it whatever size you want. I mean, if you want to make them 1 inch by 1 inch, we can do that too. But, it's up to you. So,
yeah, awesome.
But yeah, we got Big Game Saga, and also David says that he's got like some really fun stuff in the pipeline. He's got the Dragon Slayer book, and he's got the Petrichor book. The Petrichor book's later this year, right? You said fall-ish, so
theoretically, yeah. I'm supposed to get them. I'm supposed to have them all in the can and drawn by the fall. So, but I don't know what their release schedule is going to be. I doubt that those books are going to start hitting shelves and stuff until
next year, probably.
Yeah, early next year. Yeah. First quarter.
Yeah.
So,
but still, man, that's pretty good news. You know what I mean? Especially for fans of yours. You know what I mean? And if you're not a fan of David, like, I really hope this show maybe draw your eye to him, because he's a hell of a guy. He's funny, and damn, is he talented. I mean, not just with his art, but his writing is on point. Like,
I don't know, I got these weak ass comic book arms. They're like not selling anymore. You know what I mean? I've been drawing up. I've been lifting enough pencils.
But you drum though, so that should help a little bit. No?
Yeah, I do play the drums, and I get real tired. And then everybody complains, they're like, "Are you tired?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm tired, man. It's hard."
Yeah, you try moving both your arms and both your feet at the same time for like multiple minutes, and then just having a break for a second, having a sip of water, and then doing it all over again.
Yeah, man. Yeah, driving the bus. You know what I mean?
I tried. I can't do it. I can't have both feet and both hands going. Like, I could maybe do like 1 foot and both hands, but like both feet going. Like, oh man, I can't multitask like that. So
it's weird, yeah. Especially because the band that I play drums in, I also play the bass with my foot. I have like a little foot pedal, like a bass organ, section out of a bass organ, and I play the bass line down there. So I'm like thinking about a bass line while I'm also thinking about it's a nightmare. I don't know what my problem
super
is.
multitasking, man. Damn, yeah,
Jesus
you got
Christ.
Goodwill Hunting over there, man.
No, it's just I'm full of bad ideas. That's what I keep telling you.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I mean, I think I've asked David pretty much most of the questions I had. Johnny, do you have anything else?
No, I can't really think of anything. David, do you got anything else you want to shout out? You got any music shows coming up that you want to maybe?
Sure. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So keep an eye out for Yard Work, my band that I play guitar in. We're coming to Yard Work Band is our Instagram, whatever. If you want to follow our page, we're coming out to the Northwest. We're going to be playing Portland, Seattle, Tacoma, and Astoria the weekend of the 21st of July this summer. So if you live in that area or you want to see me play guitar very poorly, you should come out to one of those shows. It'd be wonderful to see you. You can buy a comic book from me.
Hell yeah.
Tell you
do you still have vinyls? Do you still have vinyls for the album? Do you have any of those left? Yeah. So we've got vinyl and a comic.
Yeah, two different albums.
Cool.
Yeah, heavier drumsticks. Pump them up. Yeah.
Yeah, get the drumsticks with the big balls at the end, man. Those look like they'd give you quite the workout.
Drum core. Yeah, that's what I practice with. Is like drum line core sticks, those heavy ass, like funky. Yeah, those things are gnarly. like 1B or something like that. God, they're like tree trunks. They're huge. But yeah, so the band is coming out to the Northwest. And then my other band is going to be playing July 3rd in Austin at a place called the Coral Snake. It's a little dive bar in town. If you live in Austin and you want to come see me play drums and bass and sing at the same time, and also buy a comic book from me and vinyl and a T-shirt. I'm terrible at this, right?
No, man, that's how you do it, man. You're charming as hell too. So yeah, don't ever doubt yourself, brother. But yeah,
you said you had some cons that you're going to attend to, and
yes, I'm also going to be at the Comic Art San Antonio, which is October 3rd, I want to say.
Okay.
I have the flyers somewhere around here. Anyway, yeah, it's early October. It's in San Antonio. It's all indie comics, and it's the who's who of indie comic creators from Central Texas for sure. And he's also bringing in some other people from, I think, out of state are going to be coming in. So I'm really excited about it. Last one I did was in a half burned down mall. It was awesome. It was really cool. You know, when you go to a ghost mall and it's been dead for a little while and people are still kind of wandering around like zombies, that's what it was like. And I was like, hey, do you like vampires? And they're like, we do. I'm like, check it out. You want the comic book?
Yeah.
You know? But not for your kid, but for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because this book hits hard. Like, yeah,
Yes.
you don't mess around, man. Like you got some death metal shit going on. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, that was David Lujan. Tubman talking about his new projects. Joe, what do we got coming up for the people? You got the whole schedule written out.
Yeah, next week. So tomorrow we have part 2 of our Sunday Spank series where we're talking about East of West. We're going to be talking about Year 2, the second deluxe edition. Then on Tuesday, the 11th, we're going to have Sean Lewis on.
Yeah.
So we'll have him on to talk about the books he's been working on and whatnot.
Nice.
Then next Saturday, we'll have Kevin Anthony Catalan will be on. He's a great artist. If any of you follow him on Instagram, he started doing some covers for RDW for Ninja Turtles. So we'll have him on. That's what we have up next for next week. Yeah.
Really good retro pulp style artist. Yeah, I really like his stuff. And yeah, he's got some pretty cool Ninja Turtle stuff. We talked about a little bit of his work on the Roundup episode. He was in the Sewer Boys collected that we did.
So he's starting to get recognized a little more now, which is awesome because he's a great artist as well. So he's starting to get a few gigs with some bigger publishers. So that's nice to see.
Yeah, IDW is kind of rad like that, man. Like when they gave Len Lloyd that Transformers cover too back in the day. They're pretty rad like that, giving Kickstarter dudes a little bit of a. I guess he's not a Kickstarter dude though, huh? He kind of just self-publishes Catan. Was Space Knight a Kickstarter? I don't think so.
Space Knight, I'm not sure. I think that one he published himself. Then he had to deal with Lion Productions, I think, and he released a few other things through them. So.
But yeah, we'll talk about all that on Saturday. Like, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. But yeah, we want to thank anybody that watched this. And yeah, dude, definitely go check this Kickstarter out and check out David's other work, man. Like you can, you have a website or anything where people could probably get Nerida and stuff like that if they want to just order it. Do you have something like that you could plug really fast too?
Yeah, just neridacomic.com. It's just a link tree, and you can go to my Gumroad. Like today somebody bought a comic book randomly and I was like, what? But it works. You can just buy a comic book from me and then I'll just send it to you. It's really cool.
And do you have it as add-ons on your Kickstarter as well?
Yeah, so there's a couple of tiers on there where you can get my books, and there's a tier on there that you can just get like you're getting Big Game Saga, like a physical copy, and then you're getting all of the books that I've made thus far as digital copies, and so it's not that expensive. It's like $5 per book to get the digital copies. So if you don't want to go all in and buy all of those crazy physical copies, you don't have to. But yeah, there's ways to get it for sure.
Cool.
So yeah, man, and you're not gonna regret it, and you're gonna be hooked like we are, not being able to wait to see where it goes. But yeah, until tomorrow morning, this has been us, man, and check you later. Take it easy, y'all.
All right, adios.